let us talk about the life cycle. Okay, I had already explained everything. As you can see that Chara, it undergoes vegetative reproduction through these structures, the bulbils, and here it is showing only the amorphous and the root bulbils. But remember, through the protonema as well as the amylum stars. So it undergoes vegetative reproduction through these structures, and it undergoes sexual reproduction, okay, through the formation of the globule and nucleus. Okay, so these, as you can see, the nucleus will give rise to the oogonium, and this from the oogonium we will get 4 haploid nuclei, whereas from the globule we have this globule. It will develop to give rise to the antheridial filaments, which will finally give rise to these. Here in the last, at the bottom of this figure, you can see the antherozoids. Okay, the spirally coiled antherozoids. So these antherozoids, they will fuse with the haploid nuclei of the egg cell to form the zygote. And here, as you can see, that both the nuclei, okay, the egg nucleus, they are haploid. Even the antherozoid, they are haploid. But when they fuse together, they will give rise to a diploid zygote. So in the whole life cycle, this zygote, it will germinate and develop into a young, it will give rise into a young plant, which will finally develop into the whole plant body. So what do you see here in the life cycle of Chara? That the diploid stage in the life cycle of Chara is only the oospore or the zygote, whereas in other stages of the life cycle of this plant body, it is haploid. Haploid state is regained. So the diploid state is only in the oospore or the zygote. So the plant body of Chara, as you can see here, it is haploid. The diploid condition is found only in the oospore. At the time of germination, this diploid nucleus of the oospore, it will again divide meiotically, and thus haploid state is regained. So in this way, we can see that the life cycle of Chara is thus haploid predominant type. Okay, so that is alteration of generations in case of Chara. You can see that the life cycle of Chara is haploid predominant type because the diploid state is found only in the zygote, only in the oospore. Now next we will talk about the taxonomic position. So coming to the taxonomic position, okay, the systematic position of Carriels, it has been controversial. Why? As you can see here, that according to Fritsch in the year 1935, he included Chara in the order Carriels under the class Chlorophyceae, whereas this person, Smith, in the year 1938 and 1955, he placed the order Carriels in a separate class, not under Chlorophyceae, but in a separate class, Charophyceae, of the division Chlorophyta. Whereas another person, Round, in the year 1973, he placed the order Carriels in the phylum Charophyta. But if you remember, in this Chara species, the photosynthetic pigments, the nature of the cell wall, as well as food reserve, then the structure of flagella in the antherozoids, then the life cycle of Chara is typically chlorophiscin. But however, there is a marked advance in the organization of the vegetative structure of Chara. Okay, there is a marked advance as compared to other algae, green algae, that is Chlorophyceae. So there is a marked advance in vegetative organization. That is the division, the differentiation of the axis into nodes and internodes. These are the nodes, and the space between the nodes are referred to as internodes. So this differentiation of the axis into nodes and internodes, then the apical growth, and also a great elaboration on the sexual reproductive organs, that is the nucleus and the globule. If you remember, in nucleus, we had already discussed in the previous video the presence of the jacket cell around the oogonium, okay, around the sex organs, which is similar to that of bryophytes. And also, if you remember, in antheridium, the spiral nature of the antherozoids, and also the mode of germination of zygote. We had already discussed how this zygote it germinates. So all these, it shows that in Chara, it has a marked advance in all these features, okay, the organization in the vegetative structures, as well as in the a great elaboration in the sexual reproductive organs, okay, as compared to other members of chlorophyceae. But some algologists are of the view that the charails has evolved from chetophorials, okay, especially from forms like drapalnal diopsis. That means Chara, it resembles drapalnal diopsis in the presence of those nodes and the internodes. Okay, so the presence of these nodes and internodes, it shows that Chara is very much resembled with drapalnal diopsis. And not only that, the corticating filaments, the formation of these lateral branches, remember the primary and the secondary laterals of limited growth, and also the participation of these laterals in reproduction. As you can see, the nucleus and the globule, they form in these laterals. So thus Chara, it shows a basic characters typical of chlorophyceae. With, we can say, it shows all those basic characters of chlorophyceae, but with some advanced features.